Good morning, Nigeria, and welcome. This is Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television from our corporate headquarters in Lagos State, Nigeria. I am Henry Igwebike. Let's start this beautiful morning on a very clean slate. Of course, starting with our newspapers, and right after that will be our main conversation also for today. Do well to be part of what we do. Have a say in what we say. You can find us, reach us when you visit us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. Today I have joining me via Zoom, virtually, is Emeka Madunago, journalist, public affairs analyst, to see through all that we have from our newspapers and crisscross into our main conversation for today. Good morning, Emeka, and welcome to Enterprise Morning today.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Thank you so very much for your time as always. Now let's kickstart today. Let's begin with the Daily Trust newspaper, and straight to the talking point. Tax laws altered, Section 64(1). Emeka, please help us make sense of this. The much talked about tax law that everyone keeps talking about. The federal government had even put down 20 names of social media content creators to help it do the magic of convincing Nigerians. What's happening to our tax law again?
That's the most ridiculous thing I saw. Social media content creators. How many of them have paid taxes in the last 5 years? Many of them. Do they pay withholding tax? Let them bring their tax record. Instead of you to go and get people like Alhaji Aliko Dangote, get various businesses in the media, get media houses like Punch newspapers, that are compliant, that are tax compliant. You could have got them to say, you could have used them to say, that these people, these entities, even these individuals, somebody like P2B, yes, who has boasted openly, if you know anywhere I have committed any financial infraction, bring it up. You didn't bring such people. You are bringing content creators. What do they know about tax? As simple as VAT. Outside of what they pay, maybe when they pay electricity bill or VAT, or buy something at a supermarket or a mall, or take a ride-hailing service, use a ride-hailing service. What do they know about your new tax laws? Can they break them down? If you sit them down somewhere now and begin to ask them questions, can they break them down? That's the problem. You talk about all kinds of things, Cybercrime Act, information and all of that. Meanwhile, you have the Nigerian media, you have experienced journalists. You could have asked to break these things down for you, tax experts. Because the man in charge of the Presidential Implementation Committee, Taiwo Yedele, is just confusing a lot of things. That is one. Now, the other side of it is that why would Daily Trust, a national newspaper, put a question mark? Tax laws altered. Why would you put a question mark? You're supposed to be, if you can't answer the question for the reader, then why are you publishing a newspaper? I mean, to me, it's unacceptable.
Yeah, but Emeka, do you think we should blame the newspapers at this point? Because we all know there are lots of people speaking on behalf of the president now.
Let me tell you, the newspaper has National Assembly correspondents. You're not talking of one small newspaper. He has National Assembly correspondents. They have a draft. They have a copy. They ought to have a copy of what President Tinubu sent to the National Assembly and a copy of what the National Assembly passed, right? And then now a copy of what the president eventually assented to. Those are 3 different documents. They should have them. When we talk about authenticity, they should have these documents in their possession. So a member of the National Assembly had to raise this thing. It took a member of the National Assembly to raise, not the media. These things are embarrassing. Now, a member of the National Assembly has raised it. You are now even putting a question mark on it. I mean, who does that? Come on. Let's do better as journalists, please. Thank you.
Let's do better as journalists. And speaking to the 20 nominees selected to help push the tax law information, you can see how bad it is, really. Most of these people domiciled in different parts of the world. And Emeka, you know, Nigeria is more like a cash cow. Most recently, I've seen almost every content creator is moving towards tax information. Or maybe they are hoping, like the nominees selected by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to represent Nigeria as ambassadors. Maybe lots of other Nigerians are hoping that their names will be included in that list to help make that possible. But let's get to other matters. We are not intimidated by attacks on PDP. Gbenga Hashim declares warns against one-party agenda. Emeka, don't you think it should be a national consensus to maybe do hashtag war against one-party agenda? Don't you think it would make sense to some extent?
Yeah, it's great. Don't worry, the momentum is building up. Because President Bola Tinubu actually wants to be a life president. It's clear. It's the judiciary has capitulated, giving embarrassing and ridiculous judgments. I mean, imagine a lawyer like Kenneth Okonkwo saying that how can the judiciary, I think the Supreme Court, give a judgment and quote a section of a constitution I'm not aware of? Where is it in the constitution? What you quoted is not in the constitution. That is the Supreme Court. That tells you how the glory has departed. Or is it the National Assembly? That one is captured already. Those ones, they are captured. Whether in APC or the opposition, they are all captured. Except maybe one or two bright spots. The rest are just there, you know, just filling space. So what are we talking about? Some sections of the media have been captured. You can see it in their report. You can see it in their report. There are many issues of national importance. Look at these tax laws. Look at these tax laws, except maybe one or two media houses. How many have taken time to explain to people? What you see are just people who just come up and be explaining things that are ridiculous, that are meaningless. So when we talk about one party, it is there. Was it not just some days ago that Tinubu unilaterally directed the Army Council to promote his ADC to a Brigadier General, something that's never happened in the history of Nigeria. A Brigadier General commanding between 3,000 and 6,000 troops, being told to stand as a back carrier behind the president. So that tells you that, Tinubu is just so desperate. But I'll remind him, there was a man called Babangida who tried such. Gowon too tried such. Oh, I will leave by 1971. By 1971, I will announce a transition program. But he sat down there. Oh, no, we are not yet ripe for return to democracy. Then look at Babangida. He kept playing all kinds of tricks until he outplayed himself. And the military establishment told him to go. The same thing that Abacha got in there, didn't let anything, and was just shipped out. Obasanjo came in. Who should have known better? Who ought to? That is the sad thing about this country. People who ought to know better. No, they don't know nothing. They don't know anything. He came in and thought it's a third-time agenda. Look at how he has been denying it all over the place. But who cares? Because we saw all of these things. We reported all of these things. We're in this country. They think we have short memories. No. Now look at what Tinubu is trying. Going, different ways, trying to be a life president. Why? The fact that you were able to lord it over Lagosians for 25 years doesn't make you can extend that to the whole of Nigeria. Forget. Let governors defect and all of that. Let me tell you something. The only one who knows yesterday, today, and tomorrow is the Almighty God. So let no human being purport to, play God in the lives of Nigerians. You may think, oh, Paul Biya has done it and all of that. You will see how Paul Biya will end.
Yeah, definitely.
You will see how he will end. You will see all this death for this, that one in Tanzania, that murderer in Tanzania. Name it. All these despots here and there. Let them continue. You will see how they will end. Let me tell you, in Eastern Europe, how did those autocratic government, how did they fall by the side? Look at Romania. It was just a wave. And Nicolae Ceausescu and his, and his government collapsed. So I would just tell Tinubu, respect time limits. Donald Trump, there were some people, some vile characters who got up to say yes, that they will push for a third term for Donald Trump. But what happened when he was asked what he thought about it? He said, I know in the Constitution there are term limits and I'll respect them. And that was the end of that rubbish. Tinubu should respect the Constitution. Don't toy with the Constitution. Because Nigerians will not accept it. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Emeka. But let's move to the Guardian newspaper for today. And still on the tax issues, tax reform pushback, revenue crisis threaten 2026 fiscal plan. I do not know if President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is hoping that the tax reform will help him in the fiscal plan for 2026. You know, he knows how to play chess with invincible stuff that we do not know where he is getting all of that from. Emeka, does it look like the president was hopeful that the tax would help him run his 2026 fiscal plan?
Well, the sad thing is that you have some people who think they are economic wizards, you know, and can conjure something from nothing, can conjure things from the air. Oh, they've started calculating figures that they will make from tax. And the question I ask is this. Alhaji Aliko Dangote said the other day that, you know, he finds it difficult to get a space to park his private jet at Nigeria's major airports. Now, you didn't start from there to tax, luxury tax. We've been talking about the luxury tax for a long time. Tax the rich. Tax the rich. And then not just about taxing. Improve public services, so that people will know what they are, you know, what you are taxing them for. But right now, no power supply. Many parts of the country have been without power supply for 3-4 days. No power supply. But yet you have put them on band A taxation. Is that not robbery? Is that not criminality? Then instead of you to look at those areas of the economy where you are not collecting adequate tax, look at areas where Nigeria is being cheated of revenue. You're not looking at those areas. Then you're not coming to the ordinary people who have been overtaxed. The ordinary people who have to provide their own power supply, their own water, their own security, their own roads. They have to gather money to do roads, buy transformers. You want to still tax the same people. How more wicked and despicable can a government be? You want to tax ordinary people who are suffering already? God will not allow it. I believe it will fail. I am a proponent for payment of tax. I support that people should pay tax. But there is the element, because if you look at it, there was the element where people were saying that there should be, responsibility should be on both sides. If you're asking the citizens to pay tax, there must be that responsibility that those in government will sign that, yes, we will be responsible with tax revenues. But that was removed. Along the line of debates, governors and National Assembly, all that was removed. So what it means is that people in government can continue to steal our money, loot the treasury, while increasing taxes. How more wicked can human beings be? You go abroad. France, for instance, VAT is 47%. Some countries is 50%. Some countries you don't pay any VAT. But what serious countries of this world do is that they make sure that whatever they take from the people is judiciously accounted for through efficient public services. That is your right as a citizen. But in Nigeria, we've been used to poverty. We've been used to living without light. So we say, he's trying now. Somebody just poured small asphalt on the road. He said, he's trying now. Others didn't do it because we have got married to poverty. We've got married to being oppressed, to be treated shabbily. And we don't know the difference. Even Nigerians abroad who are enjoying efficient public services will be justifying what's happening in Nigeria. And I tell those people it shall not be well with them. Because when you refuse to speak the truth because your brother, your kinsman is in power, or because you are eating from the government, listen, all that will never pay you. And that's the truth. That's the truth. So there's nothing wrong with taxation ordinarily. But when you embark on Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, how can you use government revenues for Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway? Who does that? We were telling you, no, you are boasting 15 trillion. How can you remove 15 trillion from the economy in one fell swoop? I mean, tell me another definition for such recklessness. You now wear the Badagry Sokoto Highway, Abuja somewhere highway, just a super highway, just embarking on fanciful projects. These projects are good, no doubt. They're okay. But look, in 21st century financing, there are different models you adopt. For certain projects, you adopt crowdfunding. You adopt concessioning. There are different models you adopt. You don't just take public revenues and plunge into, you know what 15 trillion naira will do? Will do in health, public services, security and all of that? What 15 trillion naira will do? Buhari paid $1 billion for Tucano jet. Has insecurity improved? Has security improved? Has insecurity gone down? So, but when you have reckless people who in government, this is what happens. That is why already now they are moving 70% of the capital, budget to the 2026 budget. How do you intend to finance it? The National Assembly is projecting oil revenues at $60, whereas oil has gone down to $55. It's just because of the face-off between the US and Venezuela that oil price went up to $59. But you know that these things don't hold. These things don't hold. Because oil, a lot of countries are gradually moving away from fossil fuels to renewables. So banking on oil, like look at Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia's non-oil export revenues have been going up steadily. They've been going up steadily. So why will we still be talking about oil as the mainstay of the economy, as the main driver of economic revenues? Come on. We should think. Let's stop this hemorrhage. The economy is hemorrhaging. You're embarking, your recurrent is so high. What you're doing here and they just wasteful expenditure. Governors investing money in projects that are of no bearing to the people, whereas the people cannot afford something as simple as 2,000 naira to get a card in a government hospital. 2,000 naira. People are still, a large percentage of Nigerians still depend on out-of-pocket expenses to fund their health needs. And so many people now go drink all these native mixtures, what we call agbo, taking all this with threat to their kidneys, to their liver. Name is the education. Resident doctors have never been on strike. Look at education. Name one sector, except the political sector, where money is moving out. Name one sector. What do you pay? What are you paying soldiers? What are you paying policemen? There are companies that pay their gatesmen just to open the gate and close it. They pay them 100,000. I know of such an organization. 100,000 naira. And then what do you pay policemen? The least paid policeman, what is he earning? The least paid soldier, what is he earning? And then you expect miracles to happen. From where? So what I'm talking about is that beyond just laying a budget before a national assembly, we need fiscal responsibility. We have a Fiscal Responsibility Act in place. We have a Public Procurement Act in place. But the people in government who ought to obey, they are not obeying it. You go to the courts. The courts are so unreliable. They will just look for one technical jargon, look for one technical angle, and dismiss an entire case. So the question arises, why do we need a judiciary? Why do we even need to waste time on elections? If the Supreme Court can say that a president can remove elected officials, and then let the president appoint governors now. Let him appoint governors. Then there's no need for a chief justice of the federation. The entire judiciary. Let the president say, okay, no, let him now become the judiciary, if we scrap the National Assembly, let him become the executive, the legislature, the judiciary. Let's scrap all these wasteful institutions. We're wasting money on all these people. That's the truth. And let me tell you something. These tax revenues they are banking on will not come. Already, they are still talking of borrowing trillions of naira. So where would that take us to? We're in big trouble. The country is in big trouble. Let me tell you the truth. The country is broke. Nigeria is broke. Whether anybody likes it or not, Nigeria is broke. Because what we need, look at the roads. I don't know when last you traveled around the country. They don't have revenues to fix it. You can't pay. You can't pay lecturers. You can't take care of the health sector.
And contractors.
So now we've become the highest borrower. The highest. 5.4 we've become the highest debtor. What?
Yes, I was saying that contractors, domestic contractors, are still owed about 5.4 trillion.
Let me tell you, when you owe contractors that much, do you know what it means? These people borrowed money from banks. These people collected materials on credit from people. Do you know how many asphalt plants have died because of this debt? 5.4 trillion is a lot of money. It's a lot of money. So the issue is, but they don't want to confront the truth that Nigeria is broke. And when you are broke, it doesn't mean that Nigeria is not earning revenues. You can be earning money, but you are broke because why? Your income cannot meet your expenditure. That is the problem. So that's why we keep borrowing to cover deficits. But you're just digging one hole, fill another hole. Digging one hole, who is going to fill up the hole you dug? That's why we have been crying. That's why we have been shouting that these people should stop this hemorrhage. Let us have fiscal responsibility. All these things, you went to buy a jet. Yeah, you went to buy a yacht, paid 5 billion for a yacht. All those things are not necessary. How many times? Tell me when Tinubu has time to stay in a presidential yacht. When do you have the time? Yeah? You bought cars. You renovated Vice President's lot, 21 billion. Vice President doesn't even stay there. I know the house now. Very magnificent resident in the 3 arms zone. He doesn't even stay there. So just wasting money. When the crucial sectors, the critical sectors of the economy are left unattended. And then you are saying all is well. In solid minerals, you are dragging space with non-state actors. You are dragging space with unlicensed miners. Look, we must know where the rain began to beat us and let us backtrack. Let us backtrack. Things are not easy. They had to resort. Let me tell you, there are 3 things you do when your economy is in trouble. You borrow, you raise interest rates, and then you now raise taxes. We've done the first 2. Have things improved? We are now going to the 3rd one, raising taxes. When that one fails, what will happen? Are we going to sell Nigeria? I don't know. But what is going on is very, very wrong. This is not the way to run a nation. Look at now, there's no power supply. There's no power supply. You are still looking for how to pay Gencos, how to pay them. And the government has 40% in these Gencos and Discos. So when you have this kind of situation, how do you cope? Thank you.
That remains the truth. Unfortunately, those are the corridor of power, or those who eat from what falls from the master's table, are not courageous enough to speak to some of these things. I just truly hope that the government is listening, because you can't continue to hide yourself like ostriches hide your head, below the sand, while the whole of the body is exposed to everyone to see the growing problem that we have. Nigeria is broke and hemorrhaging. That is the fact. We truly do hope someone would come, a better leader would come to salvage all of this and correct all the mistakes that we've done, or the past leaders have equally done to Nigeria. But that will be, in a bit, will be coming back with Emeka still with us. That is when we return. A major oil sector shake-up as Tinubu replaces NMDPRA NUPRC chief. That in a bit, still Enterprise Morning. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. Thank you so very much for being back. And if you just joined us, this is Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television. Let's head straight to our conversation for today. The Chief Executive Officer of Nigeria's two key petroleum regulatory bodies, the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA, Engineer Farouk Ahmed, and the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, NUPRC, Mr. Gbenga Komolafe, have resigned from their positions. Their exit come as President Bola Ahmed Tinubu nominates a new leadership to steer the agency in line with his administration's reform agenda for the oil and gas sector. Engineer Farouk Ahmed, who headed the NMDPRA, has faced a mounting scrutiny in recent months, making his resignation a significant development in the ongoing restructuring of the industry. Similarly, the departure of Gbenga Komolafe from the NUPRC marks the end of a tenure that oversaw critical regulatory framework in Nigeria's upstream petroleum operations. One of the nominated successor, Engineer Mohammed, brings extensive experience from across the energy value chain. He previously served as Managing Director of Kaduna Refining and Petrochemical Company and the Nigerian Gas Company. His leadership portfolio also includes chairing the boards of the West African Gas Pipeline Company, Nigeria LNG subsidiaries, and NNPC Retail. Additionally, Engineer Mohammed served as Group Executive Director and Chief Operating Officer of the Gas and Power Directorate, where he provided strategic direction for landmark initiatives such as the Gas Master Plan, Gas Network Code, and key contributions to the Petroleum Industry Act. Let's get talking, ladies and gentlemen. We still have Emeka Madunago. Thank you so very much, Emeka, for hanging on.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right. Emeka, let's get talking on this. I do not know where to start from at this point. Replacement. Of course, the president, who is the substantive minister of petroleum resources, has the right to do all of the changes at this point. But do you think the changes were necessitated as a result of a deficiency of leadership at the NMDPRA, or is it because of the controversy as raised by Aliko Dangote, considering the money the Farouk man had spent on his children and many other controversies there? So which exactly plays the card? Is it that he needed a change, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that is in the oil sector, or is it as a result of the controversy that Mr. Farouk has?
Yeah, both Farouk and thank you very much. Both Farouk and Komolafe, had been mired in one controversy or the other. If you recall that 5 months ago, an FCT High Court struck out a lawsuit brought against Mr. Gbenga Komolafe of NUPRC until yesterday, where a non-governmental organization, sought to compel the Attorney General of the Federation to prosecute Komolafe within 30 days. Of course, the name of the organization of the NGO is Registered Trustees of Trust Field Empowerment Initiatives. They leveled some allegations against Komolafe. They even sued him and the AGF, and but the council, the defense council challenged the jurisdiction of the FCT High Court to hear and determine the subject matter based on Section 251, 1A and N of the 1999 Constitution as amended. Of course, the defendants argue that the Constitution specifically conferred jurisdiction on the Federal High Court to the exclusion of any other court in civil causes or matters relating to the revenue of the government or the federation, And then also, he stated that the Federal High Court reserves exclusive authority on civil causes or matters which pertain to mines and minerals, including oil fields, oil mining, geological surveys, and natural gas. That was just all. That was just all. The court relied on to throw the matter out. And, even the defendants asked for 100 million naira in damages for filing that the NGO filed a frivolous and vexatious suit to harass, intimidate, and ridicule the NUPRC boss. Now, the judge now awarded 3 million naira just on a technical matter instead of taking it out. Now you can see that matter is still hanging. That matter is still hanging. Then that of NMDPRA, of course, because the person who petitioned, Alhaji Aliko Dangote, is a powerful Nigerian, is a wealthy Nigerian, ready to fight anybody. And so he not only tabled the allegation, he submitted a petition to the ICPC to say, investigate this man. This man paid 7.3 billion naira as school fees for his 4 children in Switzerland, children in secondary school. When you hear some sums, do you know what 7.3 billion naira will do to our educational sector? Go and check the educational budgets of state governments for 2026. And so, of course, Dangote, and Farouk had actually had some issues in the past. In the recent past, where Farouk accused, alleged that Dangote refinery was producing petroleum products with high sulfur content. Of course, that Dangote really fought so hard. And then along the line, the GMD of NNPC at that time, Mele Kyari, well, he was kicked out. He had to leave. And then some top brass of NNPCL were arrested and are still being investigated. So one thing is certain. President Bola Tinubu has rightly acknowledged by his action that, there's a lot that the government is faced with serious challenges from the tenures of both men, and that government had reason to act in the public interest to prevent a further erosion of public trust. And so that's why I think both men were removed. Because the allegations by that NGO were not taken. They were not treated by the court. And the court went on, that shows you that the judiciary, we are worried about actions of the judiciary, judgments that tend to favor powerful people, well-placed people, tend to favor government against public interest. But thankfully, President Tinubu has acted and said, listen, maybe you have to go, so that we, at least let us restore public confidence in these institutions. Even though the government has not stated why it took that action. But of course, you can read between the lines that, our government had to restore public confidence in both institutions. But, and therefore it had to take that action. Thank you.
We do not know who he is. Of course, it's stated that he has caught his feet in the oil sector. But the question is, this selection of people to head these sensitive, respective institutions and organizations, is there a parameter actually to select these persons, or is it at the discretion of the president to just do whatever he feels like doing? Because we should be looking at the best hands to ensure that these things are done. But with the kind of politics we play in Nigeria, does it look like it's ever possible to have meritocracy at the center of leadership in this country with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu at the head of the throne?
Yeah, well, it is possible. I mean, if you look at the CVs of people who have headed regulatory agencies in Nigeria, in the petroleum industry, to put it in context, and also headed NMPCL, you'll find out that they've had distinguished careers in the private sector. Sadly, some of them fell short of public expectations in public office. Some of them didn't carry along the ethics and the high standard demanded of them in the private sector to public service. And that is where they derailed. Because, in the private sector, there are certain things, there are certain things, there are certain things you cannot do. You earn such humongous, such huge amount. I was reading somewhere today that the CEO of one indigenous oil company earns 3 billion naira every year. And that a graduate trainee earns about 700,000 per month, so that the management, board, and employees go home with very hefty salaries, when compared to the Nigerian condition. So, but you cannot take such lavish, ostentatious remunerations to the public service. That's where the difference comes in. So sometimes some people get into public office. They think they can still carry on with the kind of lavish lifestyle they had in the private sector. The private sector can, one way or the other, fund such lifestyles. But you cannot put that in public service. That is one. Secondly, the public sector demands, has rigorous, strict rules. As a CEO of an oil company, you can accept gifts. Somebody can give you a gift, and there are certain things you can look away from, even though there are strict rules for which you can be punished if an infraction is detected. But in the public sector, the answer is no. Of course, some time ago, a court said that a former GMD of NNPC, that the money seized from him should be returned to him because they were gifts. A public servant receiving millions of dollars as gifts, then why would the international community take us seriously? So that's how rigorous public service is. The civil service, the public sector, that's how rigorous it is. That is why it's strange when you see directors in the civil service, permanent secretaries, living above their means. Because the question is, and the same question was asked of Farouk, what is your salary? Your salary in a year, I think, according to him, is 48 million, 4 million naira a month. How were you able to afford 7.3 billion naira to pay your children's school fees in Switzerland? 4 children in secondary school, not even in university, secondary school, for crying out aloud. But even though, the public statement that was made available publicly, in reaction to Dangote's allegations, even though Farouk denied it, but it revealed a lot. It opened a window into how, and we should be helpful to anti-graft agencies in investigating this matter. So it should not be that because they've been relieved of their duties, then the matter drops. Both men should be investigated by the anti-graft agencies. The other day, EFCC was saying that they are not after President Bola Tinubu's opponents. This is a clear case. They should deal with it to show that Nigerians should continue to trust EFCC. Because, what are we talking about? Dangote said clearly, NNPC, that that Porako refinery owned, by NNPCL, was sabotaged while they were claiming to be fixing it. And that's why you see none of the state refineries is running. So now President Tinubu I don't know what led him into giving licenses to people to continue importing petroleum products. Whereas we have the capacity locally to continue, to produce these things. But the idea,
sorry to interject here. Sometimes back you said that it's not possible to have a Dangote do domestic supply of PMS without having export come in to balance the equation. That it makes sense that there should be, the opportunity for people to import so as we wouldn't face a scarcity. Don't you think it makes sense to allow for uniformity of whoever it is that wants to play in the system to do whatever that they want to do, then let price determine what Nigerians would go for, than just outrightly saying that no one should export?
Thank you. Thank you very much for that interjection. Yes, I said so. But you know what? The rules say that it is those who are participating in the downstream sector that should have that right. For you to import in any industry in Nigeria, you must have productive capacity. Then if it falls short, you can import. For instance, Dangote has been getting crude. He has got crude from Ghana. He has got crude from different places, I think from Gabon, from different places. He has got crude because because he cannot get adequate crude supply under the Naira for crude scheme. He has not been able to get adequate supply locally. So what Dangote himself has said is that to allow for anybody to be given a license to import, that person should own a refinery that is operating. You cannot just go and collect a refinery license, keep it in your pocket. You don't set up a refinery. You don't refine even 1 liter of petroleum products. And then you now claim that you want to go and start importing. You don't do that. You cannot compare oranges with apples. So what I'm saying is that I support Dangote's position that for people to be able to import, there must be certain parameters, one of which you should own a refinery that is functioning, and then you must be able to convince the NMDPRA that there is a shortfall in your expected supplies to your customers, your clients, so that you may need to import to cover up. But like it's generally known, a lot of these imports are just blended, blended different blending plants across the world. So how do you now bring in
Emeka, I remember some months back, Dangote accused a little refining plant somewhere in Lagos owned by Peter Mba of blending what the company, that's Dangote, already is doing, and felt that that little plant was taking a chunk of the share of his market and was going against it. So don't you think Dangote is being smart here by half, by trying to go against competitors so he could dominate the sector?
No, it's not competitive. No. Own a refinery, not a blending plant.
So what's the difference here?
You cannot, there's a big difference. A refinery is a fully structured business. Fully structured business. A blending plant, yes, is a business, but come on. You don't have the same capacity, stored capacity. You don't have the same requirements, regulatory requirements, licensing requirements as a refinery. And let me tell you, a blending plant can actually operate illegally. So the fact of the matter is, let's do away with these blending plants. Whether it's in Lagos, whether it's in Malta, whether it's in Russia, wherever it is, or even if it is in Togo, because like we hear now, that some influential Nigerians actually have an FPSO tank in Togo, in the port of Lomé, from where they now bring petroleum products into Nigeria. That they've stored it. They have forgotten the quantity of petroleum products that they are said to have there. That is from there they bring these things. But they will now claim, allegedly, that these things come from other places. So we need to stop the importation of petroleum products. Because when Tinubu came in 2023, We heard all kinds of stories that filling stations in neighboring countries has closed down, that oil theft had closed down, that Okada riders in some neighboring countries had run out of business of smuggling petroleum products. We heard all kinds of things that no, we're not consuming 52 or between 52 and 55 million liters of PMS every day. That no, it's 25 million liters. No, it's 39 million liters. No, it's 32 million liters. All kinds of stories. I attended an event where a governor, in his speech, read this kind of thing, was said, and all these things were just market gossip, just gossip from the market, not founded in facts. How come we have now gone back to the same 52 million liters a day? When the government rolled out a presidential initiative on compressed natural gas, when we are talking of electric vehicles, and electric vehicles are used in a number of places. Unilag, if you go to Unilag, there are electric buses are being used for transportation. So look on the road, you will see electric vehicles. So why are we now, still talking of the same 52 million liters? The same government that said that power supply has improved. And when we know that much of this consumption actually comes from the use of generators. But you've heard people say, oh, our power supply is regular and we're not using generators anymore. So where is that? How come we're still consuming 52 million liters daily? Where is it going to? So that is the reason why we need to stop importation totally. We should scrap it, just like cement. Do you hear people importing cement? For producers of cement, I think they have, they also have a leeway to import if it's necessary. But they are producing here because what they need, clinker, is here. All they need for production is here. So they're producing here. Why shouldn't we now extend those regulatory requirements to the downstream sector of the oil and gas industry so that we just totally, at least, put an end to the hemorrhaging of our foreign reserves? Because the importation, this heavy importation of petroleum products has, keeps impacting on our foreign reserves. Forget all you see, that we made $41 billion. The question I ask them is this: please show us your expected expenditure. Where these foreign reserves will go to. It's not that foreign reserves came in. Towards the end of the year, you have improved diaspora remittances now because people are sending money home to their loved ones for Christmas and all of that. People may be sending money home for projects, for a lot of welfare programs, and then there is a lot of importation of rice and various items, oil and all those things, vegetable oil and all those things, so you will expect that towards the end of the year, there's a lot of money will come in. Even the customs now, customs service has moved to deal with banks. It has taken up banks that have been delaying the remittance of, revenue due to it. Yes. So you expect that towards the end of the year, money will come in. But the point is this: importation of petroleum products takes a lot of our foreign reserves. Then another thing is school fees. School fees by the elite. School fees for the children of the elite. You can imagine 7.3 billion naira. How much is impacting on our foreign reserves? So let us deal with all these things. Let us stop all these points where we keep losing our foreign reserves. That will help us as a nation. But if we insist that it should continue to be business as usual, it will not help us. It's not helping us, and it will continue to hurt us because that's not what we need. We don't need that. So with due respect to both men, yes, they have been removed, but I think that the anti-graft agency should investigate them. Should investigate allegations against them. Don't sweep them under the carpet. If not, the same suspicion, specter suspicion, will also hang on their successors and heads of other vital government agencies. And it should not be. People should not be in public office with a specter of mistrust hanging over them. So it is because we refuse to insist that everybody must play by the rules. That is why it looks so it looks like it's so difficult for us to have honest people in public office. But I want to say that yes, I know there are honest people in public office. There are honest people in the civil service. Yes. But just imagine, when you have all these kinds of allegations. And up till now, the NMDPRA former immediate MD, Farouk, has not said anything. The statement that was issued, that was said to have issued by him, he has denied it. But yet, he has not explained the issue. He said, that since the matter has been sent to anti-graft agencies. What does that mean? That doesn't to defend yourself.
All right.
We don't value.
Are you still there, Emeka?
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I said thank you very much.
All right, thank you so very much, Emeka. That was awesomely done. You actually opened the canker worm of information there, and equally had the opportunity of perusing every single one of them. I truly do hope that those at the corridors of power, like I often say, would heed to some of these things, if they are intentional really about ensuring that this comes to a logical end. Nigeria is so much blessed with lots of resources, but some of these resources do not spell back to Nigerians who truly do need it. Poverty is still on the increase. Nigerians have been deprived of so many medical practitioners still on strike. Lots of things going on in the country which our resources would have been used to solve some of them. But those in power and those at the corridor of power do not see this as a necessity. And little wonder you see Nigeria in such a haphazard shape. But we truly do hope that things will get better. Thank you so very much, Emeka, for the time and the opportunity of speaking to us.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you very much.
All right, so that's just about the time. We have people who love to say thank you for making this a day. Please do well to follow us. You can find us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. I am Henry Gwibike. Have yourself a splendid day. God bless you. God bless Nigeria. I'll see you on another episode. Bye-bye from me.